Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Tape to Take podcast. Draft season is in full effect. I'm joined by Jackson McIntyre, my co host, and we have a special guest, Theo Ash, who I don't think people are familiar with this, but you've had some pretty amazing draft takes. Puka Nakua being high on him. And I know people are always going to give you backlash for the things you got wrong, but when you're watching so many prospects, you're gonna get things wrong, and that's just the nature of draft season.
Last year, I lacked imagination. I did not have a good record last year. Before that, I think I could stand on it. But like with Cooper DeJean playing outside corner, I was like, I don't know if I'd put him there. Like I'm low on him, and then like they just move him to nickel, and it's fine. It's like I should have just projected him, and then I would have been probably a whole lot better off. Or like Quinion Mitchell, I was like, he plays at such a low level, and this defense is fake. Like I don't know. It's like, well, you should have just you should
To
have
be
just
fair, too, when you go to Vic Fangio's defense, I think your chances of hitting on that high end outcome as a rookie substantially go up.
Oh yeah, it's all about the situation and where you land at. But at the same time, when I'm watching prospects this year, it's important to keep in mind like there are a lot of different situations throughout the league. And if Tyler Warren, for example, ends up with Sean Payton as opposed to, I don't know, somebody else,
The Jets.
the Jets, his situation will probably be a lot different and his results will probably be a lot different. So that's what I'm trying to be keeping in
We
mind
don't
this year.
even name the Jets OC. We just say the Jets.
I don't even know who it is, to be honest. Like it's some
revolving
who's
door
never
right now.
been an OC.
Yeah, they got
before.
somebody from
We'll-
the Lions, an assistant.
We'll call it
for the Lions.
Nathaniel Hackett. How about that?
No, but hey, this is a brand new year. It's a year of redemption, and we're going to talk about some gems outside of the top 64 picks. So, this is kind of a little bit weird because most places have their big boards different. You look at ESPN and PFF, it's a little bit different, but overall, I think it should be easy to kind of swift through players that are going to be third round picks or later. Jackson, starting with you, who are your gems? And we'll start with offense.
I think this guy's been flying way under the radar. The first like actual big thing I saw about him was Steve Palazzolo like yesterday, I think. But it's Harold Fannin. He led all college football in receiving yards at 1,555 yards for Bowling Green and he's a tight end. Like how first off, how often does a tight end lead all of college football in receiving yards? Second off, fucking Bowling Green. Like he's 20 years old. He's really young. He had 34 missed tackles forced. This was more than Luther Burden, who had 30, and McMillan, who had 29. Um, Number one tight end in yards per route run at an elite 3.77 yards, more than Tyler Warren, who was at 2.78, and Colson Loveland, who's at a 2.67. Both of those are good numbers, and he shattered that. Um, Athletic profile is fine, nothing special. He kind of wins more laterally than he does vertically. Good route runner. There was a lot of times where he was matched up with safeties and quarters, and he beat them on double moves, inside moves. He's got like just this. He kind of leans into his breaks, and they're very effective. They don't look super explosive, but they're super efficient, and that's how he wins. I think that he's like I regularly see him in like the late third round in mocks, somewhere around there. I think that he could sneak into like the back of the second. And he would be one of those upside guys who might be ready day one. Like big, nice, thick, sturdy body, 6'3", little bit on the smaller side, 240. But it looks really like efficient on him. 4.7, 40-yard dash. Yeah, that's my offensive guy. Who do you have, Theo?
I've got Damian Martinez out of the U. He is a total beast. I love him. I can't ignore the Bijan Robinson particles within him. And that is, I think Bijan Robinson could win MVP of the league at running back. So that's
Yeah.
not necessarily what I'm projecting for him, but all the things that make Bijan special, he possesses. Like they have kind of the same build and body, height, weight, pretty much the same. And the thing that's notable about both of them is the patience behind the line of scrimmage. Like you'll watch Damian Martinez get the handoff and just fully just stop, wait for things to develop in front of him, wait for, the combos to work and the linebackers to get caught up, and then he'll really accelerate. So that's one thing that gets me very excited about him, is that kind of vision. Well, he also has range. Like, he can be pushing something front side, and he still has the cutting ability to get to the backside late, which some of these bigger, more powerful backs, like, they don't have that. Like Amarian Hampton, he's a big, fast, like, strong back, the consensus RB2 in this class. One thing I don't think he has is that kind of range like Damian Martinez has got, where he can like fully access any point of attack at any time because of his lateral cutting ability. Martinez has that, and he also uses it to make safeties miss at the second level, like just on a dime. He bursts through the line, the safety's coming down. He can run that guy over, or he can juke him out of his shoes and get behind the wide receiver blocking on the perimeter and take it up the sideline. And then he's a bruiser. Like, he's a power back first, I'd say, like running through tackles. There's a play against Florida State where like the whole defense is on him, and he like spins out of all of them and takes it up the sideline for a huge play. So he's got a very impressive blend of skills. He has nowhere near the level of blocking that Bijan has, or any kind of starting running back has. And that's my main concern with him, is like, he's so talented, but with the lack of blocking, is he going to be able to get on the field? And then he doesn't really have home run speed. He didn't hit a bunch of 10+ yard runs last season. He's more consistent than explosive. And so if you're not getting the big time home runs with him, and he's not blocking, I could see him just kind of being a piece instead of like a signature back in a room. But I really do think he has the rushing talent to be a signature back in a room, and the receiving talent too. He's not bad at it. Kind of reminds me of like maybe a Kareem Hunt type figure.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, his feet are like surprisingly light for how sturdy he looks. And there's a lot of reps of him like in a phone booth, like just kind of dancing around a defender, where it almost like those Genty clips where he's doing the same thing. Not quite as explosively, but yeah.
I feel like the Miami offense had a lot of underrated players. Damian Martinez, Xavier Restrepo, Elijah Arroyo, I really like at the tight end position, like a potential day 2 guy. I don't know if he's going to be a second round pick. I could definitely see him being a second round pick, but he could also be a third round pick. I like the receivers in this class, especially the depth. Kyle Williams was made popular by Chris Simmons, putting him at wide receiver number 2. And I think his yak ability is special. 14 touchdowns, 1,100 yards. So I don't think he's necessarily a gem anymore. I love Jaylin Noel from Iowa State. Jaden Higgins is the big body guy who has all the speed, but I think Jaylin Noel, every time I watched him, he just popped off the screen. He had more receiving yards, only by a couple yards, than Jaden Higgins, and I think he'd be the perfect slot receiver for a lot of offenses around the NFL. He reminds me a lot of like a Khalil Shakir. Like, just put him inside, let him go to work, and I think he could be a big boost for an offense.
Switching over to defense here, there's a guy that I've been like just shocked at how little attention he's gotten since the combine. There was like a day of attention that he had right after the combine, but I feel like I have not seen his name since then. And that's Darien Porter, cornerback, Iowa State. Absolutely, like, just one of the best combine performances like ever for a guy that size. He was a 9.99 RAS score, 4.340 at 6'3", 195. Elite 20-yard split, elite 10-yard split, elite shuttle, elite 3-cone. Solid vertical. That's the only like not like elite trait. 36.5-inch vertical, and then a stud broad jump at 10 foot 11 inches. So he's long, like really long, over 33-inch arms. And when he attaches and press, you're not getting off. He's refined. His hips are, I think, there's 2 issues. For one, his hips aren't like super loose. They're a little bit tight sometimes. And when he kind of got turned around in quarters, you could see that there was a bit of a slowness in him opening back his hips to try to maybe he turns to the outside, then the receiver cuts back on a post, and he's just a little slow getting back around there. He's also 24 years old. He kind of reminds me of Kyrie Jackson, rest in peace, Oregon cornerback last year. Older prospect, but huge. Moves really well. I wouldn't say that he's tight, but there were reps where he was tight. There were also a lot of reps where he was loose. So I feel like he kind of has that ability to move. He just sometimes he played low snaps. He's pretty raw. He only played I think 250 coverage snaps.
He was rotational. It was so weird.
Weird.
You would see him out there, and then all of a sudden he wouldn't be out there anymore. And it's like, where did he go? I don't really see rotational corners. And he's also Iowa State's
game.
He's also Iowa State's best guy. So I'm like, why are you taking him off the field for a whole drive? He's your best corner. Keep him out there.
Watching their defense and watching the tape, you'll see him start the game and play 2 drives, and then you just won't see him for a whole quarter or two drives in a row. He won't play a snap, and then he'll be back out there again for 2 more. It's weird. I don't know what the logic was for their defensive rotations. So you'll see him up top here. Let me get to the right place here. Yeah, this is him sticking to just an outbreak there, but just love the way he pushes into this. You love when a corner, as soon as the break happens, you see right there the receiver leaning into Porter, and the way he pushes into the break allows him to stay right on that hip there, and that length is just phenomenal. He uses it like a weapon. We got him down here at the bottom. He kind of sifts through traffic here, comes back to the back receiver on the stack, and he finds the ball, makes the play on it. And just looking at him tracking this, for one, you love seeing him get his head around back to find the ball. But look at how big this dude is in coverage. He's a monster, and he's able to fight through the little hand fighting there that number 9's giving him, finds the ball, and just God, he's so big out there. It's if he works out, who was that corner that the Steelers ended up with? I think it was it Purdue or UCF few years ago? He had a lot of injuries. He's 6'3". You know who I'm talking about? He's a 3rd round pick.
What's the story on Porter? Is he a converted wide receiver to corner, or?
I think he is.
Okay, because that's how he looked on that clip where he was tracking the ball. He looked like he has some wide receiver skills.
Yeah.
Kind of like Reek Woolen-ish.
Yeah, definitely. He's right up top here, and this is just press coverage master. My God, he just devours the route. This was the one that Theo, you reminded me of down here at the bottom. Hands on the ball again, head back to find the ball early. I love how he mirrors his head movement with the receivers. You see, as soon as the receiver's head goes around, boom, boom. It's 1-2. Let me slow that down. Receiver there, boom, his head's around. Whoop. Let's get that. But he attacks the ball there. Just quick honorable mention here for shouting out these guys. Omarr Norman-Lott, Tennessee. Love him. Deep pass rush bag. He's regularly mocked in the 3rd round. Don't know if he'll actually go in the 3rd round. He had the highest pass rush win rate of all interior defensive linemen at 26%. And then Kevin Winston Jr. He's been getting a lot of attention as a sleeper guy to where he might actually not be a sleeper anymore. I think he should be an early 2nd round guy coming off a torn ACL, similar to Shavon Revel, but early season, so he should be back. But big safety, did not miss a single tackle in all of 2023. Just an insane stat. Yeah,
he's a baller tackler. I love him. He's crazy nice. He's so physical. There's so many defenders outside of the top 64 that I like more than offensive players. The defense stands out to me. I'll shout out Mukuba though, because he's my guy.
That's your guy.
I think he's the best safety in the class, guys. I love Andrew Mukuba. His brain just works so fast distributing routes. His feet are always smooth and balanced, and he's just looking for opportunities to take the ball away. And I think that's important for safeties. I think a lot of them can kind of drift through the game and, be solid and keep a roof on things. And there's value in that. But this guy's looking to actually take the football away and make a game-changing play and really drive on things. There's a play versus Michigan he had this year where they were running just a rushing 3 play and then playing cover 3 behind it. And his job on that play was to carry the verticals, right? That's the weakness in cover 3, is those seams between the safety and the corner. And that was definitely his job. And there was a wide receiver from the slot going vertical that was 100% his assignment. But he sniffed out that they were going to try to hit Colson Loveland on a little inbreaker between the flat and the hook. and he just ignored the seam and jumped the route to Loveland and almost ripped it out of his hands for a pick. It ended up just being incomplete. He also drove on a play in the deep middle and forced a fumble in that game. Just overall very disruptive against Michigan. He had a play versus Georgia where he like roboted around after play action and made this like insane one-handed like diving interception on Carson Beck. Like just plays like this, I'm like, this is kind of like some honey badger shit right here. Like, I don't think he's that disruptive. Like, I don't think he'll be a 3-time All-Pro like Tyrann Mathieu was. But as a smaller guy with kind of this nose for the football, that is kind of where my mind went. And he's not a great tackler because he is smaller, but he wants to hit you. Like, he wants to fly around and really hit you hard.
Yeah.
And he has some great tackles on his tape. Although certainly like Cam Scatterboom made him miss a few times, but he made everybody on the Texas defense miss. I guess all their defensive tackles are horrible, are horrible tacklers too. If you judge Mukuba just by that ASU game, like everyone's horrible on Texas if that's the case.
Yeah.
So I'm just a huge fan of Mukuba. I think he can be a really, really impactful safety.
Mukuba's your number one safety. I feel like before the combine season, Malachi Starks was number one. Then Emmanwori had an exceptional combine, and then they're like, "Oh, maybe he might be number one." Daniel Jeremiah compared him to Derwin James Jr. So between those three safeties, what do you think that Mabuka has that Malachi and Emmanwori maybe lack?
With Emmanwori, it's just the feel for the routes. Like, I really think Emmanwori is kind of guessing a little bit. I think he's very reactive. I think like kind of breaks happen and then he breaks after them. And as hard as it sounds as a defensive player, I think you need to really anticipate and know where the space is in the defense and anticipate that the wide receiver will run to that space. And I think that's one thing that I didn't really see much on Emmanwori's tape is that kind of anticipation of where guys are going to be. Now, he's got sweet feet and he's tall and he's long and he can cover a lot of ground. So, you know, it's kind of okay that he plays that way sometimes, but I still think I saw it. I thought he was in the middle of a lot of coverage busts. There was a play versus LSU when he bit on a pump fake when the quarterback didn't even have the ball. He handed it off and then pump faked, and then it froze Emmanwori, and the running back ran by him. I was like, come on, dude. Like, come on. Let's see where the ball is here. And I also think as a tackler, he needs to commit more. I think he kind of dips his head and kind of lunges. I don't think he has kind of the physicality as a tackler that I'd like to see. Although because he is so big, he is capable of great tackles. Like he brought down Luther Burden like one-on-one twice in that game, and that was really sweet. But there are sometimes, like, especially as he gets closer to the line of scrimmage, where I think he starts to kind of play smaller and smaller. So I think Mukuba's got more dog in him and more anticipation of where the routes are being distributed in his zone. And then Starks, he's very solid, extremely solid, but I just don't think he has the ball skills that Mukuba does. Like, I just didn't see the plays that made my jaw drop as much with Starks as I did with Mukuba. And I think Starks is kind of good at everything, but I also just wondered, like, what is he? Is he a great tackler or is he a good tackler? Like, I kind of was in good, and I'm like, is he great in man coverage or is he just good in man coverage? And I kind of just went with good. And it's like, I thought he was solid. I thought he was good, but I think some people have Starks as like, wow, he's complete safety. People are overthinking like a Kyle Hamilton level prospect. I don't see that with Starks. I think he's very, very solid, very good.
Yeah.
But Mukuba just had a little bit more juice. I felt like I was fired up.
Yeah, no, and what you're describing is, Malachi Starks playing for Georgia, getting that Georgia level hype. It's like, is he a Kyle Hamilton level prospect? And no, he's not. Kyle Hamilton was really like all world elite. And Malachi, like you said, is all around good. And I think the Mukuba versus Emmanwori thing is interesting because there are things he lacks, but a lot of people that are drafting will overlook it because he's such a physical freak to the point that they are thinking maybe they can coach that into him, where you're telling me right now that Mukuba kind of has that already within him. He just might not be as physically talented as Emmanwori.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just worry about Emmanwori and like any coverage scheme that isn't like super cover 3 heavy where you can just rotate him down into an underneath zone. I really worry about him in quarters in the NFL and any variation of quarters. I don't really want him in a deep half ever, really. Mainly for the instincts. He's like watching an athlete on tape. I don't trust his actual coverage ability out there when you look past the athlete, and that's my concern with him. But I think playing underneath, I mean, I think he could, like, if you plugged him into like the 2012 Seattle Seahawks defense, if Cam Chancellor wasn't a thing, you'd get like a Cam Chancellor type of guy. Not quite there because he doesn't have the instincts that Chancellor had, but you'd get some of those hits and some of those plays the same. But
I feel like
I
before
don't
the
think he's a
draft,
first round.
yeah, you don't think he's
Go
a
ahead.
first round, like a late first round
Yeah.
guy? You think Emmanwori or second round?
Emmanwori, I think he's a second round guy, early first half of the second round. But I have too much caution on him to take him that high. I think there's too many limitations.
I feel like a player that's been falling this draft season for whatever reason has been Benjamin Morrison. I felt like he was kind of easily slated to be a first round corner, and I don't know if the hype has died down on him a little bit, but I'm still very high on him, and I feel like if he slips to the second round, some team is going to be very happy with that. And I think there's a high possibility that he is a second round pick. We've seen it before with other prospects that before the draft cycle, the first round guys, and they just end up slipping. Like Cooper DeJean was an example of that last year. And Benjamin Morrison, what is it with him that do you think that people are just overlooking, or like what's your grade on him overall?
I think that his tape in 2023 was really, really good. He just gives me like Brian Flores corner vibes, like great in press. Notre Dame plays like this very unique defensive scheme, and they have for a long time. And he just kind of anchors like one side of the field, and super physical. Like I would have loved to see his testing numbers, and that's like where my pause is just but then like if he was healthy and you get the testing numbers, then now he's like probably a back end of the first round guy, maybe a high second round guy, whereas you get that value tag on him because you didn't get the testing numbers. And oftentimes that's the best value in the draft, is those corners who are coming off an injury, because you see teams kind of just hesitate towards that. I think that Revel is another guy in the draft here who I think that this is like my hot take of the draft. I think that Shavon Revel, if he didn't get hurt, would be a top 10 pick. His tape, like the way that he stacks on top of, like he fights to get on top of routes when the receiver's trying to push vertically off the press. So they'll get like the little inside, the little outside step. And then he's like, instead of just trying to fall into that hip pocket and like mirror the route, he's like, no, I'm going to get back on top of this route at all costs. And I've never seen a corner fight to literally beat the receiver to a spot similar to like in basketball, like a player like beating the ball handler to a spot to draw a charge. Like he's always doing that. He's like commanding the space on the route. And he had 3 games of tape this year, and I think he had more reps of just beating a receiver to the spot after the initial release than like any corner I've ever watched. It was crazy. Now, some of those games were like lower competition. They were pretty much all lower competition, but still like just the way he dominated those routes. But he's another guy who like might be a second round pick. And I think that would be like a huge mistake. I like his upside. Like I think he's got like Sauce Gardner type potential. And I'm not that worried about ACLs in 2025. Like as for 21,
You're high on
however old
Revel.
he is. Yeah,
Sauce Gardner
I'm very high on him. But now I wouldn't take him with that same type of capital, because like you have to be cognizant of the fact that he tore his ACL, right? Like it is still a concern to a point, and he didn't play at the same competition level as Gardner, but now I like since he isn't that much higher, to be fair, but still,
they played Alabama that year.
They did, yeah. There were some tapes, some games that you could get that from, but that's like my crush.
So now, Jackson, you have some Shavon Revel tape that you want to get into.
Quick play, yeah. I just want to show a visual of what I was trying to explain.
He looks massive, by the way, right now.
Oh, long arms, yeah. He's what is he, like? I think 6'1.5" or something like that. But yeah, big corner, long arms. But so receiver, first off, like look at that punch, like. He's early firing, like efficient, right between the shoulder pads, mirroring that inside release. But watch here, like as this receiver's trying to kind of get inside and then drive upfield, he just says, no, I'm going to like run to the spot in front of you. Like this is like it's like he's like a left tackle, like blocking like an edge defender. Like in the amount of reps like this where he's consciously like fighting to not just like mirror a route, but beat the receiver to the spot and then mirror it from this like physical commanding, like domineering position. Like it's crazy. Like it God, like I love watching you say, but one more up here just at the top where no punch there, but like instead of just running with him, you see him like getting to the top of the route, hands on, turns around, finds the ball. PBU here.
That seems like the perfect Brian Flores guy for the Vikings defense.
Yeah.
If he's going to fall and be a late first round pick, I could see it.
Yeah. I think
Would that be your
if
dream come true, Jackson, if Shavon
Oh,
Revel's
yeah.
on the Vikings?
Oh yeah. I think that even like a potential like trade down, because the Vikings are like the most likely team in the draft to trade down, right? They have like 2 picks. No, it's like 4, but it feels like 2 because there's none in like the second or the third round. I think they have a late third round as a comp pick now, but
Yeah, they go a long way without picking.
yeah, a long time. But yeah,
AJ
I
McCarthy,
think
Dallas Turner, though, that was what they banked on.
yeah, the Dallas Turner improvement rebranding run coming next year after he couldn't beat Pat Jones for snaps last season. But I still believe in him. Young edge prospect.
I got 3 gems here. My first gem is Josaiah Stewart from Michigan. I think he's going to be an absolute steal. 8.5 sacks. He was first in pass rush win rate. Only he was above Abdul Carter, Mr. Top 5 pick here. Josaiah Stewart, he's 249 pounds, but he plays much more powerful than his weight. It's weird. And the Michigan strength and conditioning coach, I heard this from Brett Coleman's video about him, is that he was labeled as the toughest guy on the team. And you could see the type of talent Michigan has on the roster. If that guy's the toughest, I feel like he's going to be a steal if he goes in like the 3rd round. I like Chris Paul Jr. just for his name. I'm a big fan of Chris Paul in the NBA. And I like Billy Bowman from Oklahoma.
He was going to be mine.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I watch him tackle, he's just like a missile. He just pops off the screen. He's so physical, man. I like the intensity that he plays with. Were you going to mention him too, Theo?
I was going to mention him too, because I think he's as smooth and fluid as a defensive back that there is in this draft. Like the way he backpedals and changes direction and just flies around out there, it's beautiful to watch. Like I hate speed turns. I would rather a DB never do it if they can help it. Sometimes you have to, but I swear this guy never has to do it. I'm talking like maybe he's going in one direction and then the corner peels off and goes another direction, and the corner like fully like turns his back and like runs kind of the long way around to chase after him. Like this guy never has to do that. Like he can just step off one foot and change direction and just like on a dime, like swivel his plans or swivel his hips, and he's got good ball skills as well. I think he's very undersized, so he is limited as a tackler, but he does try. He gives that effort.
Yeah, I was just watching his normal highlights, so I was just able to see the tackling aspect of his game. But you watching the all 22, how do you think his coverage skills are?
Really good. I think his coverage is better than his tackling. Like versus Texas, like they were asking him to run the alley a few times, and like the Texas guys would cut back on him and he kind of overshoot it. So that was a game where I got a little bit nervous about his tackling, but his coverage is like silky. It's pretty gorgeous. And he was good at the Senior Bowl too. Like I was almost wondering if you could move him to outside corner, outside of safety, so he wouldn't have to run the alley so much, and you could kind of hide him as a tackler and you still get all that smoothness. And he's not, like you said, he's not terrible. He's got some big hits, especially like if he's at corner and you throw a screen to the wide receiver, like he might rev up and take that guy down pretty good. So I was thinking maybe like he could play corner because he's that smooth, and did it at the Senior Bowl. So he's someone that I'm quite high on, but might take a little bit of projection.
We're going to get into just the most likely top 5 pick to fall. If we're going by mock draft standards, it kind of feels like it's obviously Shedeur Sanders. I was doing a mock draft yesterday, and he fell to the Steelers in my mock draft because after like the first 8 picks, the quarterback needy teams tend to drop. It's not like, oh, I don't think they're going to really select them. And with the Raiders getting Geno, I know that people are saying, hey, Shador, it would be great to learn under Geno, but the Raiders are trying to win now by getting Geno, and adding a top 10 pick that can help the defense out, I think makes much more sense. Who is your guy? Because mine is Shador. Jackson, who's yours?
Yeah, I feel like we're all about to go Shador here. Not sure, but I just don't think he's got that arm to really sell himself as like a bona fide top 5 pick. There's too many reps where it just kind of dies on him. If Cleveland doesn't take him at 2, I don't know if the Giants are going to go quarterback after Wilson and Jameis now. Maybe they still will. I mean, that shouldn't stop them in theory, but Shador's tape should be what stops them, in my opinion. But yeah, I think it's Shador. One thing that I recently did an analysis on quarterbacks. I've done this each year of the last 3 years, specifically looking at quarterbacks play against too high coverage pre-snap shells and on zone coverage pass plays. And Shador graded out pretty well. He had a 89.6 PFF grade versus those looks. Typically what I've seen with this is if a quarterback really sucks at if passing against too high pre-snap shells, they're basically going to be bust. Small sample size so far, but the bottom 3 are Spencer Rattler, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson of the last 3 years, and Jalen Milroe falls right in line with those 3 there. I will throw a visual up on the screen here, but each of them were under a 65 passing grade against those coverages. Super concerning stuff if you can't read those shells at the college level, because at the NFL level, we're up to almost 50% of pass plays being a pre-snap too high coverage shell. And that's probably only going to get higher with Vic Fangio just winning the Super Bowl. So I do like that Shador had a good grade against those coverages. This is like one of my, it's not a nice to have. I think it's a must in quarterback prospect scouting for me right now. Is they have to have a good rate against, or a good grade against those coverages. But again, like it goes back to the arm for me. I don't want to take a guy with a below average arm in the top 5. I think they have a much slimmer margin to find success. They can still find success. It's not a complete blockade, but I like a quarterback being able to make up for space sometimes with his arm.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Shador, I think Cam Ward is going number 1 overall. That's the writing on the
For
wall.
sure.
Maybe the Browns do it and take him. But I also think about how they still owe Watson like $60 million. And then they gave up picks for Kenny Pickett this offseason. And it's like, are they going to spend the number 2 overall pick as well? Like, then what was the point of the Pickett thing? To be a 3rd string, or Watson's going to be the most expensive 3rd string to ever exist, which he probably should be after the injury. So maybe that does make sense.
Bridge maybe for Pickett, like a bridge quarterback type thing. I don't know.
I have no idea. What their plan is, I guess. But I definitely could see them adding to the defense with Abdul Carter, and just, I think it would be scarier to face the Browns with Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter and just, ignore the quarterback than it would be
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, whatever it is. Like, I think it would be scarier to do that than to face a Browns team with Shador and then the roster is currently constructed. If they just want to make their pass rush an absolute superpower, I could understand that, and then I could also understand taking Travis Hunter because I think he's the best overall player in the class.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely up in the air with them. And then for the Giants, I definitely don't think they're taking a quarterback. I mean, $21 million for Russ, to $8 million for Winston, and then they also paid DeVito. I guess it was just $1 million, but it's like, why would you just throw $1 million? Like, why would you sign 3 quarterbacks and draft a 4th one and pay him too? Why would you hand out 4 quarterback contracts in a single offseason, including 2 to like somewhat capable low end starters? So I think that they're going to go. So it'd have to be Shador at 2, I think. And if he doesn't go at 2, I do think he'll slide. Maybe the Saints could take him at 9. Maybe
that's a possibility.
That is a possibility. So maybe that would happen. Yeah. But I don't know. I just don't see that many people who are like very high on Shador Sanders. Like Nate Tice he says like this is more of a second round guy, and I feel like Jeremiah and all these guys are like they're more of like a second round guy, and I feel the same way. Like he's good, he can step up in the pocket and attack the middle of the field against these too high coverages. Like he's capable of doing that, and I've seen plenty of reps where he does, but I've also seen plenty of reps where his deep ball is just randomly placed, and I've seen reps where his foot speed is like so obviously slow and he's still doubling back and trying to loop behind the entire defensive line like he's Kyler Murray. It's like, what are you doing? You just took a 20-yard sack for no reason. Like there's a lot that he needs to change, and I think he needs to change his entire play style, because these reps where he steps up and attacks the middle, that's not really the norm with him. I don't feel like that's the way he always wants to play, but there are things to like, and he played behind a very bad offensive line. So maybe he just built some bad habits there that can be fixed.
Yeah, for me, as somebody that I like Shedeur Sanders, I just hope that he doesn't go to a situation where he is asked to carry the franchise, because I don't think he's that level of talent. And also, quarterbacks that are even of that level of talent, it's difficult for them to do that. I think if he goes to a good situation late first and is just a game manager, I like that much more for him and what he can become. And I think he can reach his high end outcome. Are you about to show some Shedeur tape?
Trying to point out why Shedeur's arm is problematic. You know, like there are like the deep ball shots where it feels like he's got this wide splash zone where it's kind of just, it's not aimed, it's just chucked into like Battleship, like A5, like boom, it's coming somewhere that I don't know. But when he starts to feel pressure just a little bit, it really takes off what he could put on the ball, like the velocity, the torque. And here's like, so this is like an inverted cover 2 look. You've got that safety down to the or the safety rotating down to like the pull runner spot, and then you've got that corner playing the deep half. And Shedeur's got all the space. So first off, he's pretty late here, but so that pull runner's working to the opposite side of the field. Shedeur's going to be targeting this receiver up the seam here, and you've got a lot of space here to throw. This ball is coming out here. I've got the end zone play as well, or angle as well right after, but you've got all this space here. And you've got like that safety, the opposite side, like not even turning his body to the ball yet. A lot of space for that left side deep half to close on, and he's able to close on the ball before the pass gets there, which is a lot of space to cover. And this is where like having an arm can bail you out, or it shouldn't even be a bailout situation, because you should have the arm to be able to deliver that pass. But like he's a little bit late here, but like this is a lot of space. He should be putting it a little more inside as opposed to putting it right on that line. But like it's just how long this ball takes to get there. Like that's going to be a problem where there's the ball's in the air for too long. The defense has too long to close on the ball. And it's the difference between, like, this is a PBU in college. This is a pick in the NFL. How many, like, he likes attacking vertical, but can he attack vertical with those limitations? That's where I have some pause.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And Travis Hunter, his teammate, Theo, you just said you think he's the best overall prospect in this draft. I'm assuming you have him as the number 1 wide receiver. It's a little clash of battles here, because Jackson on the other podcast said that he's a 2nd round graded wide receiver. That's what he said.
I'll fight you for
early
that
second
one.
Round.
Early second round.
Not as a prospect though. I see. Okay.
Oh, just as a wide receiver.
Just as a wide receiver.
Just
yes. I think if he came out only as a wide receiver, I think he's a much better corner prospect. I think he's a great receiver prospect, but I think he's a much better corner prospect. When you can marry 2 top of the like pay scale positions like into one player, like he's my number 1 prospect. But like I don't think he has, I like his movement, but I think there's some issues on tape with physicality, with getting off press, with like, I don't know. I'm not fully there with him as like a wide receiver 1.
Definitely getting off press, he has some bad reps, and definitely running routes, he has a lot of unrefinement. But I also think he has this feel for zone coverage that's very unique, and I think his time as a corner has really let him kind of make these 3D maps in his head of exactly where everybody is going to be. And I just think he's always open. Like he just always seems to find that soft spot. And I think Shedeur would have been better off throwing to him like every single play, even though like the route running isn't exactly what you'd imagine it should look like on the paper. So I think he's a very unique route runner. I think he's got pretty crazy after the catch ability, like again, because he maps where everybody is, like as soon as he's, flying off the line of scrimmage. Like I think he has an idea of like, even if he turns his back to the defense, he'll catch it and then just make the perfect first move after the catch because he just understands exactly where people are closing from and exactly where all the seams are going to be. And then I also think he's got like the best ball skills of just about any college player to ever exist. I mean, his on-target catch rate was the highest of all the top 20 most productive college receivers last year. He caught like 97% of his accurate targets. He had 4 drops in his entire college career, and his contested catch rate for his career is 10% higher than Drake London's, which is which he was the second best, and Drake London is the best contested catch guy like in the league today. So you start to think about like, man, this guy, he's got really high end speed. Hunter does. His feet just glide over the ground. He maps the field. He catches absolutely everything, no matter where it's thrown. He can eat up yards after the catch, and he does that without being a wide receiver. He does that. Yeah. He's a corner. He's in the defensive practices in the meeting rooms. Like, what could he be if he focused on, like, I think he's better than all the other wide receivers in this class. He doesn't even like practice. Like he's just naturally
That's a good
better,
point. Yeah.
Which to me is crazy. And I think I'd play him at wide receiver in the league just because I'd want to be the one throwing to him. Like, why would I let you can never guarantee production as a corner, like they might just not throw it at him, he's in a zone, whatever it is. You can guarantee that he's going to get the ball and make an impact for your team when he's a corner, or a wide receiver. So I think, and he might be a better corner. We might not even see him at wide receiver. So I have been a huge fan of him. I think since the Heisman race, I think I've been pretty soundly in Hunter's corner. Like, yeah, he deserves, like, this guy is kind of crazy special. So I think he's a great receiver, even though I agree he should probably add some weight. And I agree that like versus press, he doesn't always have a plan. I don't think those flaws are enough to make him a second rounder at a wide receiver, though.
Yeah, and I think
their match.
Yeah, I think you have a great point with the fact that he's not even practicing at this position. I think that obviously, like, if there's more attention to detail, he's got the natural toolbox to like much further like accelerate his development at that position and focus on like some of the limited weaknesses that he has there. But yeah, for me, I think Ted McMillan is wide receiver 1. I've talked about him a lot on here so far, but like I think that there was a weird like month of just everyone being down on him. He's second in forced missed tackles. Like, people don't talk about his yards after catch ability. I get that like he's not as fast on tape as you'd like. His kind of start and go speed leaves some to be desired. He's a little lumbered on those first 4 steps off the line. But once he has the ball, like, he is such a load to bring down. He moves so well. He stops on a dime, contorts his body. Like, literally, he'll go from like sprint to stop in a full like side hop, like juke move, like looking like a like 205-pound running back, like at the second level, just putting a move on like a safety coming down to fill the C gap. Like, it's caught. Like, I think that he's not getting the proper attention for that after the catch ability. I like his routes. I don't think they're like, he comes back to the ball. He attacks the catch point. He's a hands catcher. He's got these big mitts, and like he comes back towards the ball and then extends his hands. Like, he's creating a much more secure passing window for the quarterback on so many reps with that ability. And he's got long arms too. I don't know why people were down on him. I get like there's a video going around of him saying that he doesn't love watching tape. Like, okay, you don't love to hear that, but I also don't think it changes where he should be seen as a prospect.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is their job. It's like if somebody asks you, "Hey, do you like your job?" Some people say yes, some people say no. He's just like, "Hey, tape is kind of boring to watch. I don't really like enjoy watching tape." Doesn't mean he doesn't do it, but I like that you guys are on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. It's gonna make these answers to the questions I'm gonna ask you really interesting. How many wide receivers that I'm about to list do you think Travis Hunter can be better at in the NFL? First name up is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra is good, but he's so basic. He's so good at such basic things, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to get it. Like, I always forget about him when I talk about these top 10 receivers, even though he's got as many like first team all pros as Justin Jefferson, and somewhat deservedly so. I do think he could be better, though. I think Travis Hunter could be better. I do.
I think could be is like such a loose term. I think that the threshold should be likelihood. Like, is he more likely to be? And I don't think he's more likely to be personally.
Okay. Next receiver, Garrett Wilson.
Yes. They're kind of similar.
They are, but I would take Garrett Wilson personally.
Darnell Mooney. This is just like a throw, like a random guy.
You were like, all right, win the people back.
It's like a low end
Travis Hunter on something.
Like a low end outcome. Like, okay,
Travis Hunter.
If he's Darnell Mooney. What do you think, Jackson? You think he'd be better than Darnell Mooney?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I no hate to Mooney, solid receiver, but I think that's a lower bar for Hunter to clear.
What about Zay Flowers?
I mean, I've already said yes for way better receivers than Zay Flowers,
so. Yeah, you have.
I think I'd take Hunter just for his ability to operate more at the intermediate and deeper levels of the field. He runs a nasty dig route, and as Theo was mentioning earlier, he really does a great job of slowing down between zones. Like if he's coming between like a hook curl flat, he'll slow down, and then once he gets closer to that hook curl, he'll speed back up to get back into the next gap between the two hook curls. And I think that that is something that Zay Flowers has kind of struggled with, being a consistent threat 15 yards downfield. Obviously, he's got a lot of juice underneath, but I think Hunter there for me.
Now, the last two names I'll ask you, Jackson, because Theo's already said yes to some all pros. Jackson, Ladd McConkey.
Oh, that's a good one. Is this Ladd McConkey the prospect, or is this Ladd McConkey after this nuclear year with Justin Herbert?
After this nuclear year.
Oh, man. Okay. You could have made it easy.
Like you have Travis Hunter in the same situation, getting thrown the football by Justin Herbert.
I think I have to go Ladd here. Like I think he showed he was like a early second round guy for me, kind of where he went in the draft. And then after this year, like I think to stay consistent, I would go Ladd.
And now the last name, JSN.
Oh, I think JSN.
Okay, so
I was a big JSN fan.
So Travis Hunter's over Zay Flowers and Darnell Mooney. Those are the two for you. And then Theo, he's everybody on the list.
He could.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's going to walk into the league better than Amon-Ra St. Brown or Garrett Wilson, but I do think he's got that kind of ability.
And listen, you and I are aligned. I kind of feel similar. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is amazing, but he does play like in the slot like all the time, and it's free releases.
Yeah. They hide some of his weaknesses with the scheme.
They do.
And but he's still like a dog is the thing.
Yes,
like,
he's still so elite
and
in his role for sure.
He catches everything, and like he's so good after the catch. So he's still valuable, but I do think Hunter could be like an inside out any scheme. He's a winner.
Now let's talk about corners. If Travis Hunter can be better than these corners because he plays both positions. Let's start with some low end outcomes first. Byron Murphy.
I think so. Byron Murphy's good, but I think he can.
He's really good. Yeah, I think he'll be. He's got better tape than Byron Murphy did coming out. I I'd take Hunter there.
DJ Reed.
Also
Travis
very
Hunter.
good, but I'm good. I think I'll take Hunter for everybody again.
I think his instincts are just too like I've never seen a corner with his instincts, and so I'm gonna like it's zone coverage is the way that he reads the quarterback's eyes and like moves before like this literally the nanosecond that the quarterback starts throwing the ball, he's already like planting his foot and exploding to the ball, and I love him with zone eyes. So
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna hit some
any scheme.
passionate. We're gonna hit some passionate fan bases here. Jaylin Johnson.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter.
Jaylin Johnson's got good zone eyes too, but like Hunter has more juice by kind of a lot.
Christian Gonzalez.
I love Christian Gonzalez.
Travis Hunter though.
Maybe I'll say maybe. I have no idea. This is hard. I love Christian Gonzalez. I'll say
he's
Christian
phenomenal.
Gonzalez. I absolutely love.
That's
I
fair.
loved him as a prospect, and now he's like on the All-Pro track. So I'll say Christian Gonzalez.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, I think Hunter can be better. I think so. I think he could take the ball away. He could take the ball away in a way that Quentin doesn't.
I loved Mitchell as a prospect, and after this rookie year, I'm like, I love him even more. This one's like kind of a push for me, honestly. I can't pick.
Okay, and then he had a down season. The stock is lower. It's Sauce Gardner.
Elite athlete too.
Sauce.
Oh. Sauce.
Sauce at his best is so
Sauce
hard to get around. So I'll say Sauce.
This is pretty impressive considering like a low end outcome is better than Darnell Mooney at receiver and like DJ Reed at corner. Like that's still pretty damn good.
He's got the highest floor. Maybe ever. Like because I feel like with Hunter, if you put him at wide receiver and he's terrible, like he could be like a DJ Reed. Like that's pretty. Or if you put him at corner and he's terrible, like. And his ceiling is like what, Dion or something? I don't know. Like if Dion, if you were to make a Hall of Fame of Hall of Famers, like Dion would be first ballot. Like
I think just trying to limit his snaps as the most you can on against run plays on both sides of the ball is going to be the key for his career. Just with that injury rate being twice as high, I want him out there for as few run plays as possible.
Yeah, because my take on him is that I don't think he's going to pick one position. I legitimately think he's going to play both sides. And I don't think he wants to do it. Like, I think he's going to do that.
Yeah. I think that's a sticking point with like throughout the whole process is like, if you don't want me to play both positions, do not draft me. Like I will play both positions.
Maybe he's the guy who could fall out of the top 10 then, because maybe 10 teams will be like, we see you as this, we see you as this, and we don't know we don't know who you'll meet with or how to manage your injury or do anything, and then like he'll fall to Andy Reid, and then like
then they'll call up
then
they'll call up Deion Sanders and change their opinion after listening to him for 10 minutes.
Okay, so to end off the show, biggest first round surprise, and then grouping in that with like somebody you're lower on than consensus. Biggest first round surprise. I know Jackson. Is yours Jaden Higgins? I'm just trying to get a little bit of a hunch here. You mentioned Jaden Higgins a lot.
He's one of them. Yeah, I think that he's in that like 24 to 36 range. But I just looking at his profile, his athletic profile, his production profile, how he wins, like he's pretty refined. He lines up in the slot, lines up outside. He has some nasty moves in the slot too. Like he beats safeties, like vertical, like pushes vertical, and he puts these little like stem moves right before his stem that like really fake out defense. I'm going to pull something up in a sec here to illustrate this, but I think that he, with that profile, with the contested catch rate too, like I don't see why he would fall. Like we've seen way crazier receivers be drafted late in the first round, cough like 49ers early second round, where they take these guys with these terrible profiles. But who was the guy like 6 or 7 years ago? They took some guy like
Dante Pettis.
Like No, well, him too. There's another one. There was another guy they took. It might have been more like 8 or 9 years ago that I'm thinking of, but yeah, they took someone like out of nowhere in the back of the first round. The other two names I have is Trey Harris, who I'm huge on. Love Trey Harris. I think he's got like this very low key, like I don't want to say like full blown Stephon Diggs, but like damn near Stephon Diggs route running ability where he can like throttle down these blaze outs that you just like barely see on tape, but then he'll like whip it out and you're like, holy shit, like zero wasted movement. His feet are just so precise. Like, and the explosion on his stem of those blaze outs is like it's not Julio Jones-esque, but it's like low-key Julio Jones-esque, but it isn't. Like, but it's crazy. It's like I think like pairing that with his physical profile and like sure, like Ole Miss offense, whatever, like the same shit was true back with like AJ Brown, back who fell to the second round, by the way. DK Metcalf, like we've seen some guys not hit, but I think that he has that juice and like 5 point something yards per route run. Like Jesus Christ, like he was just insanely productive. And then Shavon Revel would be like another guy who I think should be a first round pick that would be surprising to a lot of people.
Trey Harris, shades of Julio and Diggs.
Low key, but like no, but low key, yes.
My comp for him was like Romeo Dobbs, who I liked a lot, and is still kind of good, but I don't think it's not quite. Not quite aligned.
It just ruined Jackson's mood. He's like,
but I haven't watched him in a long time. Like I watched him like during the college football season, like a long time ago. So I might need to revisit because I'm not really remembering, honestly. So
for me, my questions for the draft really is my players who I think could be sleepers in the first round. Nick Scorton, who has been lower in the process, but I think he could be a first round pick. I love Grace Zabel. Think tackle or you put him in at guard. I think he'd be huge. I think he could go as high as number 18 to the Seahawks with the offensive line help that they need. And I guess my other question for the draft is just like, does a third running back enter the first round? I'm under the assumption that Ashton Genty and Omari and Hampton are going to be first round picks. Is there a third guy that is a first rounder as well? That's my question.
I don't think so. I think even Hampton is borderline.
Yeah, for sure.
My thing with Henderson is like, yeah, Hampton is definitely borderline, I think. But if a coach like falls in love with Henderson's pass pro, I could see that maybe like Casey or something, like because he's such a good pass blocker and he's got like so much explosive juice. Yeah,
I like Henderson
but
more than Hampton, by the way.
Really?
Yeah,
Henderson is really good.
But I don't know if they'll both go in the first round. That is like I don't know who would go first. Probably Hampton, but I like.
He probably will. Yeah, but same here. I think they're both studs. Lined up in the slot here, safety, free release from the slot, and like just this move that he puts on this safety to completely turn him around and just blow by him. Like he's 4.47 speed at 6'4". Like bad miss, really bad miss. But like that's like 2 yards of separation there. Here up top, like just snatching back the outside from this corner who's got outside leverage, like just like the hand swim over him. Like it's really clean, and he kind of slows up after, so you don't really get to see that separation, but would have been there. And then again here in the slot, just like I love him on slants. This is like not really a slant, but kind of is, but slot slant. But again, just brutal miss, by the way. But like the way that he generates separation at that size, and then his body is this like big shield. I don't see why he should fall out of the first round. He's better than a lot of those guys that are in the 25 to 32 range.
Yeah, I can see it. I got a couple. One would probably be JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State. I like him a lot more than Sawyer. He's got kind of a weird skill set for an edge rusher where it's like he's not that explosive and he's not that fast. So it kind of takes him a while to get there, which I don't like. But he will get there. Like he has the technique He has a little bit of bend, and there are reps where his power does look very intimidating, although I don't know if it'll quite consistently be good at the next level. He's kind of good at enough things that makes me think like some team could just say, I know what we're getting with him. Just he is technically refined. He's got the body. His run technique is very high end. He's got some pass rush wins where we see him win around the outside, where we see him bull rush, where we see him break out some moves and beat a guy with his hands. Like there's just a little bit of everything there. And I think sometimes, and he can also drop back. Like he's very smart. Coming out of high school, he was kind of this everything piece for a defense. And then at Ohio State, he became more of just like a wide, put your hand in the ground, get after the quarterback type. But really, I think like there is kind of this like kind of underneath coverage piece that's kind of waiting to come out with him. And anytime there's a screen in his direction, like he just swats that shit. So he's kind of an interesting, well-rounded player. I liked your Scorton shout out. Another one I'll do is Marcus Mambo from Purdue. He is interesting. Like he is he has like high-end NFL hand fighting, and like his techniques are so like out of this world good and different, and he's just playing this mind game that like I don't know if I've ever seen another tackle like play before with these guys. And then he's got inside out versatility that teams like. So I do think he maybe could sneak into the first round because of his technique is just so good in pass protection. He tries such interesting things.
Those are all great shout outs. And lower on consensus, I feel like we mentioned Shedeur Sanders. Is there anybody else you want to mention, top 10 pick or first rounder that you're lower on than consensus? I'll start with you, Theo.
Tyler Warren, I do not rock with. He's so good with the ball in his hands, and that's great. And he can make contested catches, and that's great. And he's got the perfect like demeanor and like just this dog in him that it is rough to bet against, but like good Lord, is he slow? He is a bad route runner and he can't block. And so I think about like what he would look like in a lot of offenses and like who to even compare him to. And like the name that probably is the closest is Taysom Hill. Like he plays quarterback, he will throw it, he'll, run it from Wildcat, and he'll do all kind of these cool things. But like, how much impact is he really going to have in like the average offense in the NFL? And like I said, there's some schemes that maybe the coach would love nothing more than to find a way to get the ball in his hands wide open so he can make things happen after the catch. But like, if you're just asking, if it's third down and it's man coverage, like I don't think Tyler Warren can win in the NFL. Like I just think his foot speed is so bad. I think he gets gassed as the game goes along. He's good using his physicality to kind of like jostle people around and get open that way. And it's hard to get in his way.
Stem.
Yeah, he's got that. But man, I just think like even if he does kind of push somebody and like break, like I think these NFL corners are going to be able to catch up so easily and crowd him at the catch point. So he's someone I'm pretty. I just didn't, and his blocking, he dips his head, like when he's good when he gets a running start, like as a fullback, but like in line, like engaging with guys and blowing them off the ball, like he's not good at that. Like he gets this reputation, like he's well-rounded, like Gronk or something, or Kittle. It's like, I don't think he's like those guys at all.
Yeah. Kittle had that reach block in him that was like special, and you just don't see that with Warren. And yeah, I think like, drafting Warren, you have to like give him that Taysom Hill plus role. Like if you don't, like he's probably gonna bust. Like also a lot of those contested catches were so marginal. Like they were phenomenal catches, but they feel like they were so close to not being catches.
He wants to catch underhand, and his catch radius is small. Like he can't make the adjustments like on his back shoulder, like even Fannin can. Like he can't shield and like fall away and like the one hander, like it's got, if there's someone, if the ball is like kind of, there's a DB between him and the ball and he can kind of leap up and like just bear hug it like in the air, like that's his contested catch ability. But as far as like making like really acrobatic ones, I do think he lets it into his frame a little bit.
There was the one
which
USC
also
one
helps him.
where he like caught on the back of the defender. But
that one was
felt
awesome.
spooky.
That one was awesome, but it was also a trick play, and the
Yeah.
the DB was like booking it from being out of phase, and he
Yeah.
like snapped it as a center and went downhill. Like he can make some nice catches, but like man, just like he didn't have a lot of catches where he beat tight man coverage and won. I just thought a lot of it came on like USC. He had 17 catches for 200 yards. He didn't beat anybody the whole game.
Yeah.
They didn't pay attention to him whatsoever. He caught it in the flat. There was no one even close to him. And it's like, okay, he can rumble. There's a lot of NFL tight ends who can kind of rumble ahead, I think. But his yak might be a little special. Like that is his signature trait. I shouldn't say anybody can just do it like him, but
Yeah,
he's someone I'm definitely.
He gets
lower
schemed up into open space. Is probably the best way to use him. I'm glad that you mentioned that. If he does end up busting, I'm pretty sure the Jets are going to draft him with the 7th pick.
I keep hearing that. I'm like, why would you draft him with the 7th?
Yeah, everybody's mocking
like,
Tyler Warren to the Jets, and I'm just like, I don't think a tight end is needed, and number 2, I don't think he's a top 10 overall prospect. I'd rather have like Mason Graham or Andrew Membu with his 7th pick instead of Tyler
McMillan. Like if you need a weapon, like a big power slot type guy, like why not take McMillan? Or I don't know.
Who's yours, Jackson?
Yeah, so I want to preface with like this is lower than consensus, not low on in general. But I think that Matthew Golden has been overrated in this draft process. I don't think he has any kind of a case to be wide receiver 1. I think that he's like there've been days, and today might be one of them, where I feel like I would rather have Jaden Higgins than Matthew Golden. I think Matthew Golden has not done enough as a low production receiver. He had never passed 600 yards until this season, or this past season. He had a strong contested catch rate in 2024, but the previous 2 seasons were 30% and 37.5%. And that showed on tape. Like he was not strong at the catch point, and something clicked for sure, but it was a small sample. He only had 18 contested catch targets this year, where that's not enough to convince me that he significantly improved at the catch point. He's also smaller, 5'11", 190. He didn't do any explosives testing, no vertical or broad jump. We don't even have a 3-cone time from him. I get the 4.29 is great. He looked good on tape, but his route, I don't think he's like a great route runner. He's a good route runner. But sometimes he's a little bit stiff at the stem. Yeah, I don't think he's done enough to, as that profile of that low production guy, to be like this, like clear number 1 that some of the draft nicks are like kind of pegging him as right now. Like good prospect. I think he's also like an early 2nd round guy. I don't know if I would be over jumping with joy to even take him in the back half of the 1st round. Like he has not convinced me that all of the flaws should just be overlooked with no thought to them.
My gut feeling with the prospect that I'm a little bit lower on the consensus. I'm hoping to get your guys' opinion on this prospect is Mason Graham doesn't look like this dominant defensive tackle prospect to me. I feel like he's really good against the run. I think the pass rushing productivity is something that's lower than I expected, and I wish was better. If I'm taking a player in the top 10, I want him to be able to rush the passer at an elite level. And my kind of hot take was, instead of drafting Mason Graham in the top 10, I'd much rather draft Kenneth Grant in the teens. I think Kenneth Grant, just being a bigger body who can eat up more space, I just think projects more to be more impactful on defense. And that's kind of my gut feeling on Mason Graham. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah,
I agree.
I've come around a lot on Kenneth Grant, but I still like Mason Graham just a little bit more, just because I think he's got kind of an explosiveness to him that makes up for a lot. Like he gets in you so fast, and his contact balance and the way he's able to just kind of hold on. You see his wrestler background a lot, like versus doubles, it might look like he's losing initially, but like he always just kind of finds a way to kind of slip through the crack and to make something happen. And maybe at the NFL level, the dam will just break and he'll get moved too far down, or the lack of a power rush just kind of hurts him in the end. But He does remind me a lot of Christian Wilkins, who I think is one of the league's better defensive tackles, just in his effort level and his speed. And I think he can really like be a weapon in the stunt game. And he just is too quick for a lot of guards to, I think, stay in front of, even though he doesn't have the power aspect. So I like the Christian Wilkins comp. Some people are like, he's the closest thing to like Aaron Donald that we've seen. It's like, whoa, hold on, not even close. So
Omarr Norman-Lott might be close to that. Just saying.
Oh my goodness.
Not saying I'd take him over him. I'm not saying he's a better prospect. I'm just saying if we're throwing out pure pass rushing, I think that Omarr Norman-Lott is a much better pass rusher.
All right, I could get down with that, but I don't think you're crazy for that take. But I still do think like there is that Graham would be a solid pick, probably closer to the 10 than 1 in the draft.
Yeah, I like when you look at past like top 5 interior defensive linemen of the last 10 years, like going back to like the Jonathan Allen draft or something, like you always see like a quick twitch ability in these pass rushers, and they always have like a really high end pass rushing. Maybe not Trayvon Walker, but he had the crazy athletic profile. But and he was an edge, but I just don't think he has enough of the pass rush juice to be like that lock top 10 interior defensive lineman pick. You need it. He doesn't quite have it. I think he's got a high floor. He'll come in and he'll have a good rookie year. I think he's more of a 11 to 20 guy for me. There's a lot of value in having a safe pick with a decent ceiling in the interior spot, but yeah.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Tape to Take podcast. We rebranded since the last time we've had Theo on. It was Weekly Blitz, but now it's Tape to Tape. I think it's more fitting to this podcast, especially with the tape clips that Jackson puts on the screen to highlight his favorite prospects. But we want to thank you for your time, Theo. It's always a blast talking to you about some football, and I'm looking forward to seeing where all these prospects get drafted.
I'm looking forward to the Mukuba All-Pro campaign.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll be there no matter what.
I will be there no matter what.
And that's going to do it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.